Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Marco Podcast.
A show dedicated to the realness of organization and entrepreneurship. This space was created for every woman who needs motivation or inspiration to get organized and to keep going after her dream. I'm your host, Angel J. Sit back and prepare for valuable tips, resources, laugh, and much more. If this is your first time here, welcome and thanks for joining. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you brought a friend. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. Thank you to everyone who has completed the listener survey. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to do that and your feedback. If you have not completed it, please take a moment to click on the link in the show notes and complete the survey. I would greatly appreciate it. Today, I want to talk about not giving up despite how you feel. Recently, some friends of mine and I did a 6-week Bible study. It was called A Woman Who Doesn't Quit: Five Habits from the Book of Ruth by Nikki Koziarz. I wanted to spell it because I do not want to be disrespectful and mess up anyone's name. So it was a really great study. Like I said, it was a 6-week Bible study. We met every 2 weeks to talk about it and go over what we had in the book. Sometimes during the week we would like send each other a picture of something and be like, oh, this is really speaking to me right now. I just wanted to share it before I forgot about it or something along those lines. But it was just a really great time getting together, fellowshipping with one another, eating great food and talking and watching our boys hang out. Great study. I definitely recommend it. But one of the weeks that stuck out to me the most, and um I don't even know if it was a full week. I know each week was a different habit. The first week was kind of just introducing you to the book, and then the next 5 weeks were a different habit. But it was in one of the weeks, and it may have just been one day in particular that really stuck out to me. It talked about following through with things despite how you feel. And this really resonated with me. And the term that she used was bitter quitter. And that hit me even more. It really got me to thinking about how many times I have been a bitter quitter. What other bitter quitters do I know out there? And why are we so bitter and why are we quitting? And I realized from reading the Bible study and just from in general, it's because sometimes we feel like nothing is working out how we think it should, no matter how hard we try. So we end up quitting. First, we get bitter. And then after we get bitter, we quit. And we're bitter because things didn't go as planned and we feel like we wasted too much time on this. The book says that we often let disappointment turn into bitterness, which leads to quitting. One of the tasks or assignments in the book was to list examples of a time that you had disappointment, which led to bitterness, which led to you quitting. And one of the examples that I listed was working out. About 4 years ago, I was in a boot camp. It was 3 times a week. I was getting up at 4:45 in the morning. Y'all know that I do not like getting up early. To make it to camp by 5:45. And it was working out for an hour. Boot camp started at 6, but it was ran by a guy who was retired military. And so anyone who knows anything about the military, if you show up on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. So we had to get there 15 minutes early in order to be able to get into the camp. It was also winter time, so it's dark and it's cold outside. This was 3 days a week that I was doing this. So this was 3 days a week that I was not getting my morning coffee. So in case you missed that, I'm getting up at 4:45 a.m. to work out and no coffee. Okay, you're good? You're with me now? Okay. So I had been doing the boot camp for about a month and I had to go to the doctor for a follow up or something like that. What happens when you go to the doctor? They weigh you. But cool. This time I was super excited to step on the scale because I just knew that I had lost some weight. Like I was like, oh yeah, I've been working out for a month. It may have been a little over a month, but it was at least a month. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling good about myself. I know that I've lost some pounds. Like, let's do this. Let's step on the scale. I was wrong. I was wrong. I had actually gained weight and I just didn't want to believe it. So I was like, no, let's do this again. Let me step on the scale again. So the nurse cleared it out. I hopped back on it again. It said the same thing. I was so hurt and so disappointed. Here I was getting up before the sun 3 days a week, all in the name of losing weight and getting in shape. And I had gained weight. My disappointment turned into bitterness so quickly. I honestly don't even remember being disappointed because I just remember being so bitter about it. And I started to resent everyone who had ever lost weight, everyone who had received good results from boot camp, and also everyone who got to sleep in, especially again, since it was cold out. And they also got to start their day with a cup of hot coffee. I was bitter, y'all. I was really, really bitter. And what happened? My bitterness, it led to me quitting boot camp. Well, okay, I can't completely blame my bitterness. The pandemic did happen, but I guess in the pandemic's defense, I did technically quit boot camp the week before the pandemic shut everything down. Boot camp was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I think I must have went to the doctor on, I'll say maybe I went on like a Thursday. That Friday morning, I didn't go to boot camp. Then that Monday morning, I didn't go to boot camp. And so I think my boot camp makes, I think someone texted me and asked me if I was okay because they hadn't seen me in camp on Friday or Monday, but they knew that I was at work because the boot camp was at my job. So someone had spotted me at work, but they hadn't spotted me at boot camp. And they were really concerned. So I told them that I was quitting. And that made them even more concerned. They're like, why are you quitting? Like, what's going on? Is there something we can help you with? I didn't want to tell them the truth because I was actually embarrassed to tell them the reason that I was quitting. So I made something up. I think I told them that my husband's work schedule was changing or something like that. And I had to take my son to school. I can't remember. Yes, y'all, I told a lie. No one tell my son, please. But because I was so embarrassed by it and I didn't want them to know that I had failed and that I had failed because I knew that they would encourage me and they would encourage me to keep coming back and to keep trying. But I was so disappointed and so upset by it and so bitter that I didn't want the encouragement. I didn't want them to tell me to keep coming back, that I was making progress. All of that, I just forgot about. I didn't want to hear the positive of it. The next week, the pandemic came in and shut everything down. So our coach would still send us emails for the workouts, and one lady in the group, she was always like very encouraging to keep us all motivated to work out. And she would even text us and she'd be like, oh, today's workout, I did the boot camp workout, and then I did this. Finally, it hit some of us. We was like, how are you doing a boot camp workout? And she said he emails it to us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She's like, so when I've been telling y'all that I've been doing camp workouts, what did y'all think I was doing? Everybody's like, yeah, we don't know. We just thought you was making up something for yourself. She started making sure that we got the emails on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to work out. I still didn't work out. I think I did try maybe after about 3 weeks of her sitting. I think I tried it one time. And by that point, I hadn't been working out for a while. So it was a little hard. And I was like, nope, see, this isn't for me. So I quit again. And I was also bitter about that. So I ended up like talking to a couple of people about it and they were like asking me if I missed boot camp and I was like, "Oh no, it didn't really work out for me anyways because I ended up gaining weight. I don't understand how." And they said, "Well, it could have been muscle gain that you were gaining." Y'all, that still doesn't sit right with me. I'm working out 3 times a week. I don't want any type of gains. All I want are losses. I don't want that in my life. But in that moment, I allowed my disappointment to take over and I allowed it to make me bitter, which led me to quitting. I quit something that I was enjoying and that was helping me physically because I was disappointed. And there are so many things that I could have done instead of quitting. Yes, in that moment, when you're working hard towards something, and it's not going the way you wanted to, of course you get a little disappointed. But instead of letting that disappointment turn into bitterness, think about what else you could possibly do. Instead of letting that become bitterness in quitting, I could have talked to my instructor about my concerns. I could have done some research on why it was that I was gaining weight. I also could have checked the medication that I was taking. I could have talked to my doctor about it. There are so many different avenues that I could have taken instead of becoming bitter and quitting. The crazy thing of it all is that I didn't even feel like I had gained weight. I honestly felt like I had lost weight and I was feeling good about myself. And that's why I was so excited to go to the doctor. If I didn't have that appointment, I would have still been walking around feeling great about myself, going to boot camp. Sometimes you have to push through it despite how you feel. When you're trying to reach goals or milestones, disappointment is going to happen. You're going to fall short, but it's important to remember why you need to keep going. Don't let your disappointment turn into bitterness, which will lead you to quitting because we are leaving being a bitter quitter in 2024. No more bitter quitters over here. Okay, so this week's challenge is a two-parter. I want you to think about a time when you quit something because you were disappointed. And then I also want you to think about a time when you kept going despite how you felt. And I would love to hear that. If you would like to share, you can leave a comment on Spotify or you can send me a message on social media. All right, that's all for today. I will talk with you all soon. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Modco podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned something from it. Be sure to share this episode with a friend, family member, colleague, or anyone you think will enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button. And if you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcasting app. That helps others to find us and gets us listed in other show recommendations. So you all know that I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by clicking on the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, and chat soon.